Hi there, welcome to my channel. I have an oblivious looking box today, but I promise what's inside is really interesting. So as we look around the front of the box, it just says HD, audio, video, the best for you on the side right there. Shows a family watching TV, and the only identifying marker is on the back, along with a disclaimer and warning, but right here it says ZZ013, but more importantly, N64 to HDMI converter, along with some aspect ratios, which are 4:3 and 16:9. So really simple. This thing right here is an HDMI converter, not for only the Nintendo 64. They all share the same plug, so Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and Nintendo GameCube, so they all have the same AV input on the back. So right there says N64 to HDMI. Comes with an HDMI cable, so that's pretty cool. All in one package inside of this box. Looks like a standard HDMI cable, probably not high quality, but we'll still use it just for the sake of this video. And lastly, a micro USB to a standard USB, so USB-A plug, and I'm pretty sure that's to power up the HDMI converter. So I wish they would have just used this front cover of the instruction manual for the box. HDMI converter tells you for all systems, and 4:3, 16:9 aspect ratio shows a picture of each of the consoles as well too. That probably would have been a better selling point for the outside of this box. So the instructions are pretty straightforward, and keep in mind this isn't an upscaler for a GameCube or any of the other listed consoles. It's merely an adapter to just be able to use your older Nintendos with newer TVs, and in my case to use with a capture card. So there are GameCube HDMI converters with upscaling capabilities, but those are much more expensive and often go above the $100 mark. And for me, I just needed something more simple, and this was only $21.99 on Amazon. Not a sponsored video, but if you type in GameCube HDMI adapter, you'll see a bunch of these listings, and most of them will say Nintendo 64 to HDMI, but yeah, they all use the same AV input. But here is the switch to get it from 16:9 to 4:3 ratios, so basically widescreen or to good old boxy squares for old school consoles. If you use the widescreen ratio, it's gonna stretch out the image. So the consoles mentioned throughout the video always had a 4:3 aspect ratio, so pretty much a square. So that's going to be the native image for the Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and GameCube. But whatever your preference is, I'm not here to judge. All I know is that most old school gamers complain about playing with a widescreen aspect ratio. Anyway, the magic plug that makes all these old systems work. Fortunately today, everything's HDMI, but back then, different brands of consoles always had a different AV component or composite cable. But here's my GameCube really beat up, but I still have my beloved Game Boy player right below it, so everything's still together. Don't know where my memory cards are, so I'm really sad, but there is the magic cable slot right there. And I think I saw True Crime inside the disc tray. That's a really underrated game. Anyway, for the younger viewers, this is what we had to work with back then. The yellow, white, and red composite cables that pretty much went inside every TV. And if you're even older, you'd have to use the coax cable to plug your NES and your old Master System into your TV. But here is my GameCube adapter or power supply. Gonna plug it in right to that top right hand corner or middle right hand corner area. Unfortunately, I think the Wii U has a similar shape, but they kind of squared it off to kind of make you spend a little bit more money if you lose your power supply for the Wii or Wii U. So let me get everything plugged in over here. It's a perfect fit, and I'm not going to unravel it just because I want to keep it nice and tidy. Let me put that there while I get everything else unraveled. The micro USB to USB-A, just going to plug that in over to the left hand side where the power supply is plugged in as well too, since there are some USB cable slots right there. Let me just show that off real quick just to show that everything's working and I'm using everything from the box. Okay, a few more things here. Now it's time to get my Elgato capture card. I would plug this into a TV and show that off, but I felt like this would kill two birds with one stone since this is what I'm going to use it for. And strangely enough, the power light on the GameCube is turned on, and I think that's because the little adapter right here, converter, is powering that up. So I don't think it's actually turned on, but you can see that there is some power going through the GameCube right now. So as we face it forward this way, let's get everything turned on, and hopefully everything is smooth and goes on without a hitch of any sort. The computer's turned on now. Gonna press record on the game capture software, and then we're gonna press power. So it shows no signal, and I believe that's coming straight from the adapter itself, so that is a good sign. I read on the Amazon listing that it should say that, but as soon as you press the power button on the GameCube, it should put up that familiar infamous chime that everybody loves so much. Let me close this up and press power. And there it is. bump. So it shows the aspect ratio it's in, what kind of connection it is. That goes away, but everything looks like it's working good. Oh, good old Animal Crossing Nintendo. Man, this is so nostalgic. I love it so much. All right, I'm just gonna let this play for a little while and see if it actually shuts off or anything goes wrong. And then later on, in about 30 seconds, we will get a controller plugged in and we'll get the game going for just a little while. I did some cropping and editing, but I did let the screen run for a little while and everything's looking good. So let's see what it looks like at a 16:9 ratio. It's not going to look great, but here it is. Everything's all stretched out. So for the nostalgia and the true experience, 4:3 is the way to go. Here's what it looks like as we play just a little bit longer. I'll switch it back shortly after, and there it is. Back to a 4:3 ratio, which looks absolutely better than I thought it would. It's not like the greatest quality because this isn't an upscaler. It looks like a VHS from back in the 90s and early 2000s. So it's something I'm used to, something I grew up with, so it's not going to bother me too much. And it's just going to make my streams for the Flashback Fridays or Throwback Thursdays that much more nostalgic to see how grainy and bad the quality of gaming was back then. We are so spoiled nowadays, but as mentioned, this is plugged into an Elgato HD60S Plus, so it does indeed work with capture cards, so I would not see any reason why it wouldn't work on any standard TV with an HDMI input nowadays, so you should be good to go. So let me get a controller plugged in just to see if that's functional. Not going to get too much into the game since I'm going to save this for Flashback Friday sometime this month, so if you are an Animal Crossing lover, a GameCube lover, make sure to check those streams out when I do go live on a stream. But with that, everything seems to be holding up. Everything seems to be working nicely. Once again, I got this on Amazon for $21.99, not a sponsored video, so I'll leave a link down below to the one that I chose for this video. But if you type in GameCube HDMI adapter or converter or any of those combination of words, you can see a whole listing of maybe 10, 20, even more of just random brands with the same exact item and product. So read the reviews and do some research. I chose one with decent reviews. I think it had at least 4 stars. So at least I think I got one of the better ones and it's working so far. If anything happens to my GameCube, if it bricks it or does anything catastrophic, I will make an update video and I will scold the living daylights out of it if it does break my precious GameCube I've had since like 2002. So with that, I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to check out these others that have probably popped up all around this video by now. And if you really liked hanging out with me today, please consider subscribing to be the first one to know when I go live on a stream or upload a new video. And for those who want to support the channel just a little bit more and maybe see your name at the beginning or end of my next video or stream, make sure to check out that join button down below to see my channel memberships. With that, I'll see you all soon. Please stay safe out there. Goodbye.